Today we have the amazing Pauline Timmer. She went through the Yes Apply method a few years ago and is having incredible success as a relationship coach, also operating her business in Dutch. So we're on here today to talk to her all about how she's integrated the Yes Apply method into her coaching, how she's using it as a relationship coach, also how she overcame any limiting beliefs to begin her business in Dutch, because I know sometimes people have limiting beliefs around starting their business in different countries or in their own language. So I think today is going to be a really, really inspiring conversation, and I'm so excited to hear from Pauline. So hi, Pauline.
Hello.
Thanks so much for being here with us today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Amazing. So I'm going to turn it over to you and just ask you to introduce yourself. Who are you?
Well, I am Pauline. I am, kind of a relationship coach. Started my niche in doubts in relationships, so really, really niche. And I started that because I experienced it myself 15 years ago. And after I got out of that, I just wanted to help people with it. And so I started an online program. And from there on, it grew. And now I've been doing this for about 6 years, and thousands of people have gone through programs. And
I have chills. Thousands of people have gone through your programs. And we were just talking before we started, talking about how we're like OGs in the online coaching industry, because were you coaching before you joined the Yes Apply method, or you joined the Yes Apply method and then you launched your coaching?
No, I started before, but I felt really, not really uneasy. I kind of felt uneasy, like I didn't really have a foundation to build on. So I think I had been coaching for a year, and the coaching kind of consisted of people asking me questions and I just helped them. And I already knew EFT, so I used that already a little bit in the online program. But yeah, finding Yes Apply and doing the coaching certification really gave me that foundation that I needed. Like, oh, I know what I'm doing, like there's a rhyme and reason to this. I have actually got the tools and the process to really help people.
I love that. That's so amazing. And so you were coaching people who had doubt. So can you tell me a little bit about your offer? Like, where was that ideal client or the people that you typically attract when they first started with you? And then where would they transform to be on the other side of coaching with you?
When I started, it was usually girls. I naturally gravitated towards talking to women because I was one. And I had gone through that. So mostly girls joined, or women. And they were experiencing severe doubts in a healthy relationship. So it really doesn't get any more niche than that.
Yes.
It's not just relationships as a whole. It was doubts in a healthy relationship. So what happens is sometimes people just don't believe they deserve unconditional love. And so that can be one of the reasons they start having doubts as a protection mechanism. And so we all only hear that doubts are, a reason to break up, and it's not the right one. This is not the one. You have to find the next one. And that is just not true. It can be a coping mechanism. It can be a protection mechanism. So where I take them is figuring out, what is it protecting you from? What are you trying to cope with through having these doubts? And really allowing themselves to experience and receive unconditional love. And a lot of them also have very limiting beliefs around what love is, what a long and happy and healthy relationship is. They usually don't know. They have an unhealthy image of love. So there's a lot of like re-education in a way also, but it's definitely a lot of releasing fears and blocks around, allowing yourself to just have a healthy, happy relationship.
Oh my gosh, that is such beautiful work, because I think a lot of times you're right. When people think about doubts, they think doubting getting it in the first place without realizing that you have to do the inner work, because if you get the thing that you really want, but you haven't opened yourself up to receiving it, or you don't think you're worthy of keeping it, you might actually be the reason you lose it. And I've seen it, even though I'm not personally a relationship coach, seen it with friends who they're insecure in what's overall a good relationship. And then the way that they act actually creates problems in the relationship.
Yeah.
And then, of course, I coach a lot around abundance and money mindset. And so sometimes people and sometimes my clients could be making a ton of money, but if they don't have that sense of worthiness, then they're spending it, or random bills come up, random things happen that make it essentially go away. So that is such an important part of the work. Once you have it, how are you shifting your mindset to allow you to keep it? And isn't it that majority of people who win the lottery, they also end up losing it all too, because they haven't like calibrated to actually be the wealthy person that can hold, $1 million or whatever that is.
Yeah, exactly. I think
So
it's so alike if you compare it to receiving a lot of money. It might be what you've always wanted, but if you don't know how to hold that, then you're gonna lose it or spend it or sabotage it or just do anything to come back to your comfortable level. Yeah,
absolutely. So tell me about, this is very interesting, where a lot of your clients come to where they are in their life and they are in their relationship. So tell me about your approach to coaching. How are you applying learnings that you have from your own life, and then also techniques that you're using in the Yes Supply method to help them release those doubts and perhaps program in new ways of being?
Yeah. So like I said, a lot of them have a lot of limiting beliefs around what love is, also about their own feelings and thoughts. So there's a lot of beliefs like I have to be in love all the time, 100% of the time, and it has to be really, really intense. And the more intense it is, the more that is a sign that this is the one. And so when they don't feel anything for a little bit, they panic. They think, oh, this is just wrong. This is not the one. Otherwise, I would feel something all the time. And so it's just normalizing the fact that feelings come and go. It's never a constant. It's never 100%. And I learned that through actually interviewing 100 couples who had been happily married for over 40 years. And I wrote a book about that. Yeah.
What? That is so cool.
Yeah, in Dutch, I'm sorry.
I need to read your content. I need to learn Dutch.
You need to learn Dutch, yeah. It's so easy. No, but yeah, it was such a beautiful project that really, there was just so much wisdom in what these couples shared, and also just so much down to earthness, all these ideas that I had picked up from the media or from movies that they were just like, oh yeah, but that's not real life, and that's not going to lead you to happiness, which is a very important thing. You think that the more intense your feelings are, the happier you're going to be for the rest of your life. And that's just not true. That's not the predictor for how happy your relationship is going to be. So yeah, in talking to so many couples for hours and hours and hours, I got a re-education in what I should look for and what I should base my choice for my partner for life on. And so there's a lot of that in the program as well. Just, not being scared of your own thoughts and your own feelings. A lot of the people that go through the program actually have kind of OCD tendencies. There's a form of OCD called relationship OCD, where you have these intense doubts about the relationship. Looking back, that's what I had. I didn't know back then. And I think actually a lot of people have these tendencies. So they might not have the OCD, but they have these tendencies. But a part of that is being really afraid of your feelings. So kind of like trying to manage your feelings. I'm not allowed to have this feeling, and I have to have this feeling all the time. So just kind of calming that down and saying every feeling is all right. You can feel whatever there is, and you don't need to manage it or control it. You can influence how you feel, but you can't control it and demand yourself to feel something. And so that it kind of starts out with that, and also that your thoughts aren't true per se, and that you can influence your thoughts, you can choose your thoughts so that they serve you actually. And then it just goes on to really diving a little bit deeper into the coping mechanisms and the protection mechanisms. So what is it protecting you against? It's protecting you against being abandoned and being rejected and making a mistake and having to bear the consequences of that. When you keep doubting, you don't have to make a choice, and therefore you can't, make a mistake. And are not accountable for anything that comes after that. So yeah, just having doubts is just, it's such a brilliant mechanism to not feel a lot of things and not bear the consequence of a lot of things. But yeah, it also keeps you away from love and connection.
Wow, that is so incredible. That is such an amazing methodology because, yeah, a lot of times people think, oh, I'm doubting myself that I can't have it, but you could also doubt yourself while you're already in it too.
Absolutely.
And I was also thinking about, like, for me, I grew up in a very chaotic home, and so our nervous system has such a big part to do with it too, that when I was in a good relationship and then also my finances became good, I had to remind myself or kind of retrain myself to be like, I don't have to always be panicked. I don't always have to be like, where's the next thing coming from? Because I would have moments where if there wasn't something that I had to like chase, because I was living in scarcity for such a long time, if there wasn't something that I had to chase or reach for or run after, I actually felt uncomfortable, right? I felt uncomfortable being comfortable for a
Yeah.
while. And I had
Yeah.
to like recalibrate my nervous system to be like, it's okay for me to be comfortable. And I'm sure that that parallel exists too in
Yeah.
relationships.
Absolutely. It feels unsafe to be safe when connection and love hasn't been safe when you've, in your childhood. So yeah, absolutely. And also when you end up being in a safe relationship, or when you end up having, your finances in a safe place, sometimes it brings up trauma. It brings up, because your nervous system or the wisdom of your body is like, oh, this is a good time to heal all of this. Let's do that. And so it brings it up, and then you're overwhelmed with all these negative feelings. And you're like, but I found this amazing person. Why am I feeling all these negative feelings? It's because you have so many negative associations around connection and love, and you're now going to heal that. And when you keep repeating the patterns that you had in childhood, it feels familiar to your nervous system, and it kind of knows what to do. It's kind of trained for that, and so it feels comfortable with that. But then when you're in a healthy relationship, all of a sudden that falls away, and you get uneasy, like, when is it going to come? When is it going to go wrong? But also all that trauma comes up. Yeah.
Yes. When is the other shoe going to drop? That's like
Exactly.
a saying here, or I always heard like my mom saying, what goes up must come down. So we are anticipating things have to go down. Wow, that is such beautiful work. And so what are you finding after someone goes through the journey with you of your coaching program and they come out on the other side? What's their transformation? What are they getting at the end of it?
Well, we bring them to calm and more love, and true love, actual love. So not the rush of adrenaline that a lot of people think is love, but actual deep love. So you also connect to the love source that you have inside of you, so that you stop searching for it outside. You stop trying to control your relationship. You stop trying to control your partner and trying to make them perfect. And so you come out at the other end feeling so much more grounded in who you are and in love for yourself and for just life in general, so that you don't really need to get it from a partner. And just calmness in your brain, in your mind, and in your body. And a lot of the people that sign up just crave that. They are just feeling like they're going mad with all these thoughts and these feelings that they're trying to suppress and trying to have and not have. And so, yeah, at the end, most say, oh, wow, this is a piece that I've maybe even never experienced before.
Wow, you are doing such beautiful work. I feel like you need to give yourself a big pat on the back. Like, that is amazing. And you've said thousands of people have gone through your program. So you're literally changing thousands of lives in such an important way, because our relationships are the most important thing in our lives.
Yeah,
That
absolutely.
is super cool.
Yeah. Up till now, I think almost 3,000 people have gone through that one program. I have 3, but that one program. Yeah.
That's like your main program. Yeah.
Right.
So where were you when you decided to join Yes Supply?
I joined in May 2018. I just looked it up.
Yes.
Which is so long ago. We've been in each other's worlds for so long. We became moms together. I think we were pregnant together for a little bit too. Yeah. So Yeah, it's been over 5 years. And I started in 2017. And I think I already started with some form of the online program it is now. Um, and I was already doing quite well financially. I think I was already at 10K months when I joined, but it wasn't from the online program, all of it. It was also from doing, how do you say that? It's not lectures. Because I had written a book, weirdly enough, people think you have the credibility to to give lectures to like companies and stuff. So I did that for a while, and I really liked it, but it wasn't my mission. It wasn't something that really lit a fire. So I really love the online program. I love being able to help people. And I think the program was doing around 3 or 4K at that point per month. And then, like I said, I felt a little bit uneasy in I could help them purely based on my own experience, so teaching them what I did, but I also knew that I wasn't the absolute truth. You know, there's so many people, there's so many backgrounds, there's so many different blocks and different ways that your fear brain kind of can get to a safe place. And so I wanted more tools. I wanted more of that feeling like, oh, I know how to actually take them through a process, take them through a method. And so I just started searching for a coaching certification that included EFT because I really wanted to use EFT. It was the thing that kind of took me out of the relationship OCD and the doubts to calm and peace. So I knew I wanted to have something that had that. And then I found your coaching certification. I was like, oh my gosh, this has so much in it. Like it also has hypnosis, which I was interested in, and NLP, which I knew was just really powerful. And so I just joined. I think I found the page. I looked at your Instagram maybe for 5 minutes, and I just bought the whole certification in one go. I was
a lot of people say that.
Yeah. I think I'd never really thought about it for more than 5 or 10 minutes. It was such a yes for me. And then I remember so distinctly that I got the login thing and I could log in, and I was just kind of overwhelmed with the amount of value you provided, because I was starting to grow that program, and I had just assumed that I would find, those tools and it would be the certification program. But you had so many extra courses on how to grow to 10K on Instagram and how to launch a business, it was just like, are you serious? I didn't even know that this was part of it. And that helped me. I did all of those things too. And that really did help to grow the online program. So the certification itself helped me to feel more secure and confident in me as a coach. I actually started calling myself a coach after that. Before that, I didn't.
Good.
and all the extra value you gave the foundation for, that's how to grow to this online thing that was really new at the moment, that 5 years ago. Now it's more normal, but yeah.
Amazing. Oh my gosh, that's so great to hear. And how would you say going through all the tools impacted your business and impacted your confidence with coaching after?
Oh, impacted it greatly. I just loved learning about everything. And I love that you were so clearly passionate about every single tool. So it wasn't like you had one favorite and it was all about that. You were passionate about every single tool. And so I got passionate about that too. And I just learned a lot in those moments. And then afterwards, I think I used NLP just naturally. It wasn't like I made exercises based on NLP or anything, but I just found myself using it more in sessions, in group sessions, in one-on-one sessions. And also hypnosis. I use that for myself also to help me become more confident as an entrepreneur, or as a coach. And EFT was just still my favorite. So I ended up using that the most. So that just stayed. Yeah.
I love that. Yeah. Some people go through and use all of the tools, or some people lean towards a favorite, like yourself with EFT. And some people will, instead of calling themselves necessarily coach, they might say, I'm an EFT practitioner. Or if they love
Right.
hypnosis, I'm a hypnosis practitioner, or subconscious reprogramming expert, or whatever it is. So even though, yes, it is a coaching certification, you can kind of pull from it what you love and lean into that. And I think one thing that's so amazing is, like you were saying, the NLP, even if you didn't necessarily use all of the NLP tools, for me, it gave me such a good idea of like the human that's sitting in front of me, because
Exactly.
now
Yeah.
I understand their subconscious mind. I know what to listen for when they're talking. I know that like the presenting problem isn't actually the root cause of the problem. And so it helps us create such quantum leaps and quantum shifts when we're coaching someone, because we're not, you know, in the fluff anymore. We're able to listen to what it is that they're saying, look at their body language shift, everything like that, and then get down to the root. And since you've taken the program too, we've added even so much more on the brain, on the nervous system. We worked with neuropsychologists to put a bunch of like research and science behind everything. So now it's like, you have all of these tools and you can like spit off like research and evidence and science that backs every single thing that we talk about and that you're explaining to your clients. So yeah, that's really, really incredible. And one thing I know that you were saying that a lot of students and coaches deal with is a limiting belief around launching their business in their own language, or launching their business in their own country. And so you are such an inspiration, because you launched your business in Dutch. So tell me a little bit about what was going through your mind and what limiting beliefs you might have had, and then how you got over that to create the success that you have.
Yeah, that is such a good question. So I am Dutch. I'm from the Netherlands. English is not my native language. And when I started, I had no idea how big this would grow. You know, I was hoping that I would be able to get enough out of it so that I could just live, and I was willing to live on very little. So it wasn't that I thought, oh, this is just never going to work. I thought if I can just help 3 or 4 people a month, that would be amazing. And I must say, it's so long ago, I don't really remember if I had. I do remember vaguely that I thought, well, you know, the Netherlands is such a small country. There's only 18 million people that live in the whole country. Nobody else in the world speaks Dutch. um, so or you know, the Belgians, of course, but that's only a couple million more. So it was such a small group, target group, if you want to call it that. And I do remember, what is it gonna run out? Like, is it gonna, people are joining now for the first year, and maybe then it will just dry up because it's such a small country. But I do have to say, I never really had this limiting belief be very present. I just did it, and I just went for it. I had a lot of other limiting beliefs, but it is interesting to me that I see so many other people in the Facebook group, for instance, that say, well, should I start in my own language because, you know, the country is smaller, and I don't know if I will make enough. But yeah, I grew my business with that one Dutch program to 10K months, just in Dutch. And there's like maybe then 21 or 22 million people that speak Dutch. So it definitely is possible. And it's a very, very, very niche subject. Like I said, it's not just
Yes.
relationships, it's doubts within relationships in a healthy relationship. So yeah, it's almost, if this kind of works, and I never knew it would, but it ended up working. If this works, it will probably work for many more niches and many more different languages. Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay, so you didn't have the strong limiting belief, but I love what you said, because you just took the action. And I feel like that's what like anyone who's facing that has to do. It's like, release the belief, because the belief doesn't dictate the truth.
No,
Like the
no.
belief isn't going to create the outcome. So if you can release the belief, and like you said, just do it with the intention of, maybe I'll help 3 people this month, maybe I'll help 5 people this month. You did it with such an honest and like abundant intention. I feel like that's why you're creating so much abundance in 10K months after that. So yeah, just do it if you're feeling pulled, if you're feeling called, because the people are there, the people exist. And that's what a lot of our students will see. Like, I recently interviewed one of our students, Veronica. She launched her business in Italian and had doubts, and now she's doing amazing. There's another woman who's coming to mind. I can see her face right now, but I think it was Stephanie. She had doubts around launching in Spanish and then went ahead and sold out her first program. So it's just like, leave the doubts behind and just do it, and just give yourself the opportunity to see what happens, because you never know until you literally just put it out there.
Yeah, well, exactly. And I think a big benefit, if English is not your native language, is that you probably feel more comfortable in your own language. And there's already so many fears and so many insecurities that come up being an entrepreneur, being a coach, trying to grow your business. Then also worrying about not being able to speak perfect English is just another thing you don't need to worry about, So I was really happy that I started out in Dutch and I just knew all the words and I didn't have to think about the words. And I think that really helped me to kind of solidify my my position as a coach and as an entrepreneur also.
Yeah, and I would imagine that you were probably one of the rare coaches who was bringing EFT and all the subconscious mindset work and NLP too.
Yeah,
especially in relationships, especially on your topic.
Yeah, exactly. Well, there are more, definitely. But I never made it about the tools. I always made it about, where I was going to bring them. And because it's such a big problem, like the person that experiences it just impacts their day every day. They just want to be helped, and there was nobody else helping them. So I think that really did help. That doesn't mean that you can't have success in a more saturated market. I don't think that's a problem either. But there was a benefit to that not a lot of people in the Netherlands were doing that. And it was also the opposite of a benefit, a con, because a lot of people are like, what is this? We're very down to earth as people. Yeah. And they're like, oh, this is woo woo. This is weird. What are you doing? What even is an online program? They didn't know that. Yeah. I had to explain that in the first 2 years, because the Netherlands is always 5 to 10 years behind on America. So they didn't know,
especially in 2018.
Yeah. So it was a lot of explaining also that, this is actually a scientific method, EFT, and there is just proof that this works, even if you don't really believe in it. And now I don't have those questions anymore, but then I definitely did. Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like people are now seeing more EFT, seeing more coaching. It's a little bit more normalized. You don't have to do as much explaining. But EFT is such a great modality too, because there's over 100 peer-reviewed studies. So there's so much research that you could share with somebody who has those types of questions.
Yeah.
So another question I have is, so you were saying that the topic that you work on is very niche and very specific. So I'm wondering, how do your clients find you? Are you using only Instagram, or are you using other platforms for your marketing too?
I think the bulk game used to come from SEO, just blogs that I used to post. And because I started in a time where there weren't a lot, especially on this subject, there was nothing. And my target group, I hate that word. It feels so cold, but like
I know every time I say the word leads, I shudder. I don't like that word at all, because it's like, they're humans.
Yeah, they're humans. They're amazing humans. Yeah. So but the people that want to find the program, they tend to be Googlers, like very obsessively Googling everything. So I think that is, that helps. So one way or another, they usually find my page. Right now, I think actually the biggest driver is, how do you say that? Word of mouth. So people just referring other people to it. So that is always a marketing thing that I would never underestimate the power of word of mouth. I don't do affiliations or anything. It's just I want to provide such mind-blowing level of service that people just can't stop talking about the program, and also have them have such a transformation. Some people say, people around me actually see the transformation, and they ask, well, what have you been doing? And then they they talk about the program. So right now a lot of it is word of mouth. I never did advertising ads. I did it for a little bit, for like a few months, and I didn't like it. Because I didn't have a clear view of what should be in the ad, and it was just too much guessing, I guess. And I was able to do it organically, all of it, so I just went for that and grew that. And I thought, I want ads to be an add-on later on, and not, I don't want to rely on ads. And so still to this day, I don't use ads, and my business has tripled. So yeah.
That's amazing. Well, I know you're going to take a look at the updated version of the program when you have time. So my ads manager and I are actually going to add in a module on ads. So if you get to that point where you want to add in ads, you can go in there and you can find what we're doing that's working really well for us. But I agree with you. I started with social media and then figured out, like, how can I speak to the person that it really wants to speak to? And then using things like ads to help kind of like scale that specific messaging. But I feel like it would be really tricky to just start with ads, because without, all the other stuff, because you don't yet know who you're helping and how you're helping and everything like that. And then, we at Yes Supply too have a lot of word of mouth marketing. And I agree. It's the very best type of marketing. It's the very best testimonial. And so that's why it's so important to create your incredible program, which you have, because then you have the program that just flies off the shelf and sells itself. You don't have to worry about like perfect marketing or posting every 25 minutes and, whatever everyone else out there is telling you to do.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. And I also feel like too, Google, that's so smart to use Google, because if somebody is going through something in their relationship, maybe they don't have someone to talk to, but we all go in and we Google random things, right? So someone might Google like, why is my husband ignoring me, or da 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 da, and then they find you, and then you're like, don't worry, it's just a doubt. We're going to use EFT. I'm going to help you through this. Exactly. I've studied hundreds of happy couples. I know what to do.
Yeah, exactly. No, that's so true. And, that really requires you to kind of crawl in the minds of the people who are there. And of course, it helped that I had gone through it. So I knew the exact thoughts they had, which is kind of scary that our fear brains work the same way. But I have a list with 100 thoughts that, every person that goes through the program, they had at some point. And so that recognition is just huge. And that's the thing they Google, like, why don't I feel in love? Or shouldn't I feel more? How do you know this is the one? Or it's just very specific long tail keywords that, that all lead to my blog in Dutch.
Amazing. Yeah. That is super, super cool. Yeah. And I know I find a lot of programs from Googling too, either Googling and finding a blog or Googling and finding a YouTube video. Yeah. And I know everyone out there is trying to tell people like attention spans are only 7 seconds, but I'm still someone who I can sit and listen to an hour-long lecture, or if I'm interested in the topic, I'll read a 5,000 word blog or whatever. So I don't think that it's everyone that has a 7-second attention span. I think if it's important to the person, they'll read or they'll watch the video or whatever it is because they want to learn or they want to get the transformation.
Absolutely. I after I had done that one program for a while, I made another program about attachment styles, which is kind of like the follow-up program to the first program. That was also in Dutch. It is still in Dutch. It's still a program I run. And then I was just so intrigued by attachment styles, and especially the one that I figured out I had, or I realized I had, and I never knew, which is the fearful avoidant attachment style. And I just could not find information that really resonated with me. It was just like psychologists being very jargony and very
Yeah.
cold and observatory. Not to say that psychologists are not a good thing. They are definitely a good thing, but I
Yeah.
just missed that, lived experience and somebody that came out of it and could really pinpoint all the things that I was struggling with. And so I ended up just starting a YouTube channel without really having any idea. And I started that in English because I thought, attachment styles at the time, 3 or 4 years ago, were not a thing in Holland, in the Netherlands. They were just not, nobody was talking about it. Nobody was interested in it. So I thought, I have this whole program about attachment style as a whole. If I would start a YouTube channel on one specific attachment style, that's almost too niche. So I just started it in English just because I thought, well, again, if only just one person watches these videos and gets something out of them, I'm happy. I didn't have anything planned for it. And I chose long form video because I'm just like you, there are so many people that just want to dive in and really understand something. So I started that YouTube channel about 2 years ago, I think now, and that grew really quickly, and really quickly people started asking, like, do you have coaching? Do you have an online program? And so I made an online program also in English, which is also just going really well, just on YouTube. So I only have a YouTube channel. I don't even have an Instagram. We're starting that right now, but we don't have Instagram. We don't really have a website with blogs or anything. It's just YouTube. And that's already, doing really well also. So, people are definitely still interested in long form content, I think.
Awesome. And I think too, because you're speaking to one specific person, that one person who comes across your videos feels like your love, feels how much you truly want to help them. And they're like, okay, I'm in. Like, how do I work with you?
Exactly.
Are your programs, are you doing group coaching right now, or are they more like course style where the person is doing self-study?
It's a mix of all of it. So the Dutch program about doubts, it's very much self-paced, and then we go through the programs live every once in a while. It's been a while, but we're starting again in January, which I'm really excited about. And so then it will be group coaching for 6 weeks, and then going through that transformation together, which is always magical. And then my other program is a combination of self-paced and monthly sessions, healing sessions. And then the English program is a really, really cool form. From the moment I started, I wanted to create a program that was more almost like an interactive game. If you're gaming, you're probably not a gamer. I'm not either, but you can choose.
I used to play games like when I was like young. I remember.
Exactly. Well, you have these games where you can just choose to go right or left, and either right or left gives you a completely different storyline. And that just has always intrigued me. Why don't we do that in online programs? Why is it just static? I mean, that has its place. It's good, but there must be a way to make it more tailor-made, because everybody's healing process is different. So what I did for the English program, what was finally possible, because before there just wasn't the software available for it, is that people go through like a foundational module, and then at the end they fill in a survey, and based on their questions they get a next pathway assigned.
Wow.
And so
that's amazing.
Yeah, so their journey is always tailor-made, and I'm very much involved, because I always do the surveys and assign the pathways. People are always very surprised that I personally do that, but I love it. I love seeing the numbers go down, which means they're getting calmer, they're feeling better, they're sleeping better. It's just all over the board. And then figuring out like, what can we tweak? What can we work on now? And then there are just a bunch of pathways that I can assign them, which just keep getting added to. So it's almost like a never-ending program that is specifically designed for where you are at that moment.
That is so beautiful. That is so beautiful. I feel like a huge part of your success too is you're such a creator and such a creative. I think a lot of people are just looking for like the business in a box, but if it's just in a box, people can feel that. I think it's good to learn from others, but then what you did is like you dreamed about like, what if I could create what I wish existed? Like, how cool would it be if people could choose their own adventure through a healing journey? And you created that. And I hear you as you're talking, you're saying the word love over and over and over again. I think you're just doing all of your work with so much love, and people want that. We all want that, and people can feel that. And that's why you're just like a magnet for your dream clients.
Yeah. Yeah, I've never really saw it that way, but that's so cool.
That's
Yeah,
how I see it, Pauline.
yeah. I do love what I do. I'm so grateful that I get to do what I do. Yeah.
Amazing. And I'm curious about your book, because book is something that's on my list. One day I will definitely do it. How is the whole book writing process, and are you finding a lot of people discover you now through your book?
That's such an interesting question. Well, I did this whole project in 2013 when I
Okay.
was 23 or 24 years old. And that's when I interviewed the couples. Then I self-published the book. So I got an editor to help me, because I'm definitely not the perfect writer. My grammar is not perfect. People always assume that when you write a book that you do it perfectly, but you have editors for that. You don't have to do that. And the process of writing the book was just, gosh, Reese, it was just fear and more fear and more fear and more fear, because I didn't have the tools back then. I didn't have I didn't even have, I might have had EFT. I don't know. But I was so scared to even call the couples. I was scared that they would think it was a weird question and they would get angry. It was just, there was still so many blocks and so many fears. And what really helped me through it was, again, that if I could help one person with all these beautiful stories, then I just have to do it. It wasn't about me. It wasn't supposed to be about me. It was about these stories, and it was about that person that I could help. And I think that power of one is what, looking back on it, is actually what has helped me create success, bigger success, because I'm always bringing it back to that one person. How can I help one person? So that really helped me through that process of writing a book and thinking, what the F am I doing? Who am I to write a book, And then through magic and definitely the universe or God, one of the major publishers in the Netherlands was actually interested in the book. And it was like through a friend who knew somebody at this huge publishing house. And she said, oh, she might be interested in a manuscript. Is it okay if I send it to her? And I'm like, oh yeah, sure. And I thought it was just so she could help me how to like publish the book. But yeah, she read the manuscript, and she asked, can you come over next week? And before I knew it, I had signed a contract, which
That
was
is so
amazing.
cool.
Yeah, it was amazing. Yeah. So that book got published by that publisher in 2016. And and then I wrote a second book. And you're asking if a lot of people find me through that book. No, I don't think so, because it's sorry to bust that bubble, but I do have to say that that topic was not completely related to what I'm doing now. So I know that a lot of people that have these doubts benefit from the book, so I send it to them a lot of times. But it's not that the book is on doubts, So, but what it did help, and it still kind of baffles me that this is the case, but when you've written a book, all of a sudden, like, people just take you more seriously in a way.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I don't feel more seriously just because I've written a book. It's because of all the work I did and all the releasing I did. But yeah, people just tend to see that as this person is trustworthy. I guess that's what I hear back a lot. If they see you've written a book. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know exactly how that works or why, but I think it helped in that way, especially in the beginning of my business. It helped that credibility, trustworthy part. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. That is so interesting. Yeah. I hear that too. There's something in terms of like perception where you appear more credible if you've
Yeah.
written a book. But like even what you're saying too, you had to work through so much fear in order to write the book. So
Yeah.
maybe as a collective conscious, subconsciously, we know how much emotion and commitment goes into writing hundreds of pages of content concentrated in one place. So maybe unconsciously we know that like you're deserving of that credibility because you actually pushed through and created it. That is for the people who write their own book and not just get Chat GBT to do the whole thing for them. Because that's the new thing, right? Everyone wants
Oh
to
my
use Chat GBT
gosh.
to like write everything for
Mm.
them.
Yeah. No, yeah, maybe you're right. It I guess it does take something. You have to work through things, work through fears. Yeah. Interesting perspectives you have, Reese.
Yeah, I have a few of them. I have a few interesting perspectives.
Me too.
So, what would you say to anyone? You have this beautiful journey. You're such a creator. You're helping so many people, and you're helping them with your own knowledge, your own experience, and also these incredible tools, which I love. I love that you're such a creator and you're helping so many people. What would you say to anyone who maybe they have a passion to put their work out into the world, but they're feeling some fear, feeling resistance? What would you say to them?
First, really go back to when you had that problem, because I think pretty much everybody that's a coach or, that's doing something in this field, they help other people with something they went through. And that
Right.
lived experience is so incredibly valuable. And you have no idea because you've lived through it. So it feels normal. It feels matter of factly like, yeah, that was that. And now I'm here. And you still have things that you want different, so you don't see the enormous growth that you've already gone through. So what helped me to actually really take that program seriously was that one night in 2018, I laid in bed and I almost got transported back to the time where I was having such intense doubts. And
Mm-hmm.
I just felt all those feelings, and I felt how incredibly lonely and powerless I felt. And that's when that fire turned on. Like if there's one other person that is feeling that way right now, laying in bed feeling lonely and powerless the way I did then, I just have to help them. I cannot not help them, even though I don't want to talk about that period of my life. It was absolute hell. I don't want to go back to it. I have so many fears around being an entrepreneur. I don't want to do it. I kept going back to that one person. And I think that, so one is just going back to those feelings that you had and really tuning into that, so that you know where you were and where you are now are two different things. And so you really can help people with that. And also bring it back to that power of one, because I think a lot of people get scared to post things on Instagram because they think, oh, well, hundreds of people are going to read that. Well, when you start out, not hundreds of people are going to read that immediately. So that is also a good thing, because it allows you to grow also, grow with it. If you would have an audience of thousands immediately, that would probably freeze you up. And so always bring it back to that one person that has all those feelings that you had, was in that place where you were, and just try to help one person. It makes it so much less daunting.
I love that. That's so important. And what would you say to anyone who's thinking of joining the Yes Apply method?
Well, it's just, I mean, I've known you now for 5 years, 6 years, 5 years. And you, out of seriously everybody that I know, or a lot of people that I know in the online space, you provide so much value, even through becoming a mom and, life just becoming busier. You're still there. You show up, you give everything you've got. And that's just so consistent, which is so incredibly valuable. And it was like that from the very first moment. And I still see you do that in every single aspect almost. I was so inspired by your whole journey to becoming a mom and natural birth, and the way you chose your family and also ran a 7-figure business. And that still inspires me. You're very open about that too, and you provide so much value in that too. So if you think about joining the Yes Apply method, it's just, you can rest assured that you will get so much more than you think you're going to get. And it will provide you with just a foundation that will give you the confidence to actually help other people, because it's, we get so held back by our own fears, and it's all about us, it's all about me not being so afraid of rejection or being so afraid of looking silly. And in the end, it's not about me, it's about helping other people. And the more secure you are in yourself, the more confident you are in yourself, the more you can, in a very pure way, help other people. And that's definitely what the certification brought me, in a way, the foundation to show up more confidently, and through that help more people.
Oh, I love that. Thank you so much for sharing all of that. I appreciate you so much. And for anyone who wants to follow along with you, can you share your social media platforms?
Yeah. So in English, I only have a YouTube channel, which is
That's okay.
which is called Healing the Fearful Avoidant. We actually do have an Instagram now, but there's no content yet. Which is also Healing the Fearful Avoidant. So the English brand is just Healing the Fearful Avoidant. And then, for the Dutch people here, hi, als je me wil vinden, rustindeliefde.nl. But I don't know if there's any Dutch people listening.
We'll see. We'll find out. If you're Dutch and you're watching, let us know in the comments so Pauline knows that you're here.
Please.
Pauline, thank you so much for taking the time to chat with us. You are so inspiring in so many ways. You're such a creative soul, and you already know you've helped thousands of people. You're helping so many people from your work, and also just from the example that you're being as a coach, as a teacher, as a mom, as an author. So we really appreciate you being here with us today. And thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much for having me, Reese.